In today's NFL, quarterback, protect the quarterback, give him weapons, get after the opposing team's quarterback. I don't care if Moses came down from the heavens and enlisted himself as a cornerback. I would accept a punter at number 2. I would accept a kicker at number 2, because I've never had more faith in a front office than I do with this one. What pick would trigger the same old Lions PTSD/thoughts at number 2 overall? Terry, for me, there's only one pick that would send me through that glass window, and that
only
would be
one.
Yeah, only one. It's only
Wow.
one selection. It's very vague. However you want to take it, it's a secondary player. I don't care who it is. I don't care if Moses came down from the heavens and enlisted himself as a cornerback. I don't care if Jesus himself came down and enlisted himself as a safety. It is unacceptable this year for the Detroit Lions to take any secondary player. That, for me, would be so criminal. It would be so unacceptable. I don't think I could live with myself. I don't know why I wouldn't have any reason to live anymore, Terry, is where I'm going with this. I could not handle it. It's too much for me. A secondary player would be the ultimate, you guys really got me good. Because I've never had more faith in a front office than I do with this one. The coaching staff, is it proven? Is it something I'm so confident in I could book it in 3 years? This is going to be a division-winning contending team? No, but that's what this season's for, to show me where they're going. And I've never had more confidence in my lifetime. And here we are, Terry, that one pick. It could only be one. And that's a secondary player at number 2 overall. And the only team in the last 11 years to select a secondary player in the top 3 are your Detroit Lions.
I'm going to slightly twist your mind a little bit. You're right, the secondary, but I'm going to give you 2 players that you would probably have a convulsion over. Kyle Hamilton and Sauce Gardner. That's 2 players, but yes, both in the secondary. So I think if they go that route, then it shows that it is the same old Lions that probably they put on their draft board. One of these guys is the best player available, which always kills the Lions in the past, but it won't be the best player to help your team win. So one more time, I'll go back to my old NFL people that you got to put pressure on the opposing quarterback, and the people in the secondary don't do that. Now, the other thing that you've got to throw in, the NFL has changed the rules where there's no such thing as a lockdown corner. There's no such thing as a safety that can dominate as much as he could in the past. So you got to go along with the okie doke. And the okie doke is telling you, put pressure on that other offense, get your offense together, and then, you know what, next year, if there's another Kyle Hamilton and you got the number 5 pick, go for it. Don't do it this year.
Yeah, you know what, Terry? Again, I agree. I would accept a punter at number 2. I would accept a kicker at number 2. Hell, I'd accept a long snapper at number 2, like Chuck recommended in the chat. I am not accepting a secondary player. It's unacceptable. The league has shifted into where the quarterback is the most important position in football. The wide receiver is now a top 3, top 4 position in terms of value. These guys are untouchable. You can't hit them off the line of scrimmage. 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, you can't touch them. So it's basically a foot race, and they know the route that they're running, and you don't. Corners are at a disadvantage. Safety at a disadvantage. Again, this is a pass-friendly league. Some of the best teams in football are teams that are able to pass the football. And some of the teams that are successful, even if they don't have a dynamic offense, are teams that are able to get to the opposing team's quarterback, not necessarily lock down a wide receiver or cover the middle of the field. Again, football is a team sport. You need secondary players. You need players that can, I would say, at least run with wide receivers, guys that can create space and also take away space on the defensive side. But at the end of the day, the game, I believe, is so ABC in terms of getting a quarterback that can play, protecting a quarterback, and then getting to the opposing team's quarterback. If you can just do those 3 things, Terry, you will be at least an 8, 9, 10 win football team every single season. Am I wrong to say that?
No. And guess what? Even if you have a secondary, I'm not going to say a secondary that sucks, but one that's subpar. If you're in the quarterback's grill within 2 seconds, guess what? Cooper Kupp is not going to be all alone 30 yards down the field. Things like that won't happen because you've disrupted the offense. And I think that's what the Lions need to focus on. We've had so many tragedies in this town involving the Detroit Lions. The biggest one was Matt Millen. But another one was when Matt Patricia comes in here and has no interest, none, by the way, of putting pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. They were going to bend, but don't break. You can't do that in the National Football League. These guys are too talented. The offensive coordinators are way more advanced than when I started covering football with the 3 yards in the cloud of dust. Once he demonstrated that was his philosophy, he should have been fired then, because that's never ever going to work. This is a young man's league. It's an aggressive league, and it's a punishing league. Unless you're, yeah,
absolutely. And you know what? The thing that Fatty Matty failed to realize is, one, he's not Bill Belichick. Two, bringing in the talent and the scheme that Bill has been able to do all these years is no easy thing. If it was easy, literally, Terry, everybody would do it. And it's the same concept with the quarterback position. If it's so easy to identify who a franchise quarterback is, everybody would have one. It's not that simple. And when you try to bend but don't break, what you're telling me is, Terry, we're going to allow you to reach the 20-yard line. You're going to be able to get into the red zone, and then we're going to play defense. That's basically what you're telling me. And
yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
Maybe Bill Belichick can pull that off, but you're not Bill Belichick. Nobody else is Bill Belichick. That's not the way to play the game of football. Again, the Lions, the way they're going to be playing this year, Terry, I believe they're going to be very run-heavy. They're going to look to control the clock. They're going to look to keep you off the field. And I believe they're going to be an effective team. I would say top 16, top 15 in terms of third down conversion. I think they're going to be aggressive again like they were last year on fourth down. And on defense, again, until the draft, I won't be able to tell you anything, but ideally, the defense has a new pass rusher who is a rookie, yes. Ideally, they have a linebacker, another secondary player, and you're looking at this team like, all right, Aaron Glenn is a good coach. I expect them to play better than they did last year. I don't expect them to be bottom of the league. And again, when your offense is on the field for a majority of the game, your defense is off of it, which makes them look better, which helps them play better.
That's
Again,
right. But, the one thing people aren't talking about enough in this town is, we just talked about how the NFL has a setup where the offense can basically do what it wants. You can't touch the wide receivers. So bring in one of those first 4 picks that you have, a wide receiver who's big, who's strong, who's physical, who can throw the defender off of him. And in today's NFL, I'm a huge advocate of bringing in, a diva wide receiver, a guy that we may not like all the time because he's such a jerk on the field, but will get the calls, will get open, and would allow Jared Goff to become a competent quarterback. So that defense you talk about, you're right, but let's not fall asleep on the fact that you do need that wide receiver, because the NFL has changed. Can't do anything with these dudes anymore.
100%. That's why Tyreek Hill gets paid the money he gets paid. Devontae Adams gets a mega contract from Oakland, Vegas now. This is the league. And 10 years ago, Terry, you weren't paying wide receivers. Randy Moss was being shopped for a 4th-round pick 12, 14 years ago. I mean, the league has changed. 15, 18, 20 years ago, it was important to have a linebacker, a pass rush, a running back, and a decent quarterback. And you could figure it out. In today's NFL, quarterback, protect the quarterback, give him weapons, get after the opposing team's quarterback. That is today's NFL. and you either get with the program or you can continue to lose for another 20, 30 years. For me, it's not that hard, Terry.
No, hey man, I mean, exactly. And I think sometimes we're slow to adjust as far as a fan base on what's going to help this team grow. Because, even last year, I hear a lot of people saying, don't get a wide receiver, don't get a wide receiver. They're a dime a dozen. No, they used to be a dime a dozen. Now they're $1 billion a dozen. Now, they're very important. Let's look, and I know he's a bad name in this town, but let's look at Matthew Stafford. How many times did he hit Cooper Kupp when he was 10 yards open? There was no one within 10 yards of him. He didn't have that in Detroit. That's why he didn't win here. But in other schemes, you get the players, you get the scheme or whatever you want to call it to allow your wide receivers to get open. And that's something that we haven't understood here. I know Wayne Fonts tried it way back in the day because he did, when everyone was doing the West Coast offense, he had an offense called the Great Lakes offense. It seemed to work, but I think because of incompetence in the coaching staff that team did not win.
It's funny. It's so funny to me because the league is shifting, and people, even people like me, we give Sean McVay so much credit. Sean McVay comes from the Mike Shanahan coaching tree. So does Matt LaFleur. And you know who else comes from that tree? Of course, his son Kyle, who is, I would say, the most gifted offensive coach in the NFL right now. Yes, he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but that guy in San Francisco is what I would say a genius. And again, the Rams, when Sean McVay first showed up, they were a run-heavy team. And then they developed into this, oh man, they can throw the ball any and anywhere. Why? Because they have Matthew Stafford. You can open up your offense. So that's what the Lions are going to need to do this year. Heavy commitment to the run. Good defense. Get off the field as soon as you can. Control the clock. And Jared Goff's got to make a few throws every single game that'll help you win it. That's going to be their key to success.